Welcome back to the Stupidiots podcast. I'm Jesse.
Can you say that any more monotone,
Okay.
sir?
Welcome back to the fucking Stupidiots podcast or whatever. My name is Jesse if you fucking care.
Oh my god. And I'm Whitney. Ignore this idiot over here.
I'm also going to throw it here because I forgot. I've still been thinking about it ever since we finished the last one. I said thanks for watching at the end of the last episode. I meant to say thanks for listening. I'm so used to the fucking YouTube channel shit. I said thanks for watching instead. Anyway, last time we had we did top 10 superheroes, which we tied, but Whitney won the coin toss to get the W. So she picked supervillains for the theme for this week's episode. To go hand in hand with superheroes. So we assembled our top 10 favorite superheroes, and in case you forget the rules, we're going to list off our top 10s. We are both predicting the other person's top 10s, and we earn points based on how accurately we guess the other person's top 10, and whoever wins gets to pick the topic for next week's episode. All right, so to start things off, Whitney, call heads or tails?
Put tails again.
Tails? Alexa, flip a coin.
Okay. You got heads.
Finally, good God. I feel like. Well, actually, no. I think you won last time, but I think I won the first time. But all right, so you're gonna guess my number 10. There's not really a benefit to going first, but I just like the idea of winning the coin toss.
No, I agree.
Also, apologies if there were noises in the last week's episode in the background. That was on my part. We had visitors over at the house, and our house has very thin walls. We very, very rarely have visitors. Typically, for hanging out with people, we're outside of our house, but that will not be a recurring issue. Just throwing that out there. And they also did not know that. And they knew I was recording something, but they didn't know I was in the middle of it at the time. They knew I was going to be doing it that day, but I didn't want to be rude and stop them. Anyway, top 10 supervillains. Again, no anti. I guess you could say an anti-hero mostly counts as a villain. If they're a villain that's occasionally a hero, I'd say they count as a villain. But a hero that's occasionally a villain, I would not say counts. But I think we both understand based on the superheroes who we can and can't put.
I feel like you saying that though kind of makes me think that you put
So
somebody on your team and I totally did not put them on the list.
I don't, and I think there's probably only two maybe that can qualify for that. But it's specifically it's easier to describe when I get to them because it's not quite the same thing as I probably just made it sound. But I'm just saying, I'm trying to think of a superhero that is occasionally a villain as opposed to vice versa, and I'm struggling. But there's more anti-heroes that are villains that do superhero stuff occasionally. But I think we're good. A lot of these characters have done good stuff, but are 99% of the time a villain.
Right.
But I think we're overcomplicating this. Let's just get right into it. This isn't that serious. So, what is your guess for my number 10?
So for your number 10, I was not entirely sure if you would have had them, but I put Doctor Doom.
Incorrect. I do not. I did consider him, but he is not on the list. Doctor Doom is cool, but for my number 10, I put Magneto. Mostly because he's a pretty cool villain, but mostly because of his stuff with Wolverine, my favorite superhero from last week's episode. And especially in the movies, freaking Ian McKellen and what's his name that plays the younger one?
God, don't ask me. I'm bad at names.
I know his name and I'm just blanking on it. But they both do such a good job and play such compelling villains in those movies. I enjoyed him in the comics. I think his helmet's really cool, and he has good rivalry with Wolverine because the whole adamantium claws thing and him being able to control that leads to a lot of good stuff. That's pretty much it. Like his association with the X-Men and them being their primary villain, and he's just a pretty compelling villain. And I like that. I like his whole idea of mutants being suppressed and him being against that. I think it's pretty cool.
That
That's an
actually really
interesting
was
story.
a really good story plot
Yeah.
line.
But for my guess, for your number 10 was Thanos.
Incorrect.
Yeah.
Before I reveal my 10, I will say I absolutely fucking hate Thanos.
Oh, really?
I think he's absolutely the worst villain in. Literally, his whole shtick is just like wiping out half the universe, and I'm just like, okay, can you like at least have a deeper story than that?
I mean,
I know.
he has the whole shtick of, you know, he'd rather have half of basically he would rather have half of all living things be living wealthier than all of the universe to exist with people in poverty.
I mean, yeah, but still, he's going about it all the wrong way, and I think it's just really.
And I totally
dumb.
agree. I just think he has. I just like I think it's an interesting motivation to want to end the world, or end half of existence. But
Right.
anyway,
So no. My number 10 was Mysterio.
oh damn, I probably should have put him on my list. Mysterio's so fucking. So I mentioned in the superhero one that I love Spider-Man villains. I had to restrain myself from Spider-Man villains on here. I give myself a limit because it should be almost exclusively Spider-Man villains because he has the coolest villains for me. So I had to limit myself. So he did not end up making it. He really should have, but
I'm trying my hardest not to like limit mine to like one universe versus the other, but like I feel like I didn't succeed in it. um but yeah, I absolutely love Mysterio. I love all the
yeah.
technology that's like involved within his character. And I'm gonna say I honestly didn't like when he was first introduced in like the Spider-Man movies, completely just like 180. Like I completely did not expect his character to develop as he did. Um
I kind of did, but it was I was so at the time like, and I was looking so much into the movie that I had like already heard some like spoilers from like things on the set and Tom Holland and all that shit.
Well, okay, so I absolutely when a new movie comes out, I don't go on the
I
internet. And if
yeah,
anybody ever starts mentioning it, I'm like, hey,
I,
nope, don't talk to it.
I stopped for and before Endgame came out. I stayed completely off the internet until I saw the movie, which I saw the movie technically the day before it came out. I saw an early screening on the day before. Um, but I also waited for Spider-Man: No Way Home, the last MCU movie I've seen. Um, I avoided the internet for that too, for obvious reasons. But
So
go on Mysterio. We've been talking so much more about like the situation.
yeah.
I've been veering you off course.
Yeah, no, you're good, you're good. So I mean that's basically why I like Mysterio. Honestly, Spider-Man was the first time I was ever introduced to him. Um so honestly I just really like him as a character. That's why he's in my top 10. But moving on from Mysterio, my guess for your number 9 was the Riddler.
No, oh my god, I straight up no lie. Okay, for number 9, I was literally picking between the Riddler and the person I went with. I was trying to get my DC reps in here. I went with Brainiac instead.
Ooh,
I was
okay.
literally debating between Riddler and Brainiac at the time. For some reason, Magneto had left my mind. As I was to number 10, I was like, oh shit, I got to put Magneto in here. Because I was like, who do I put first, Brainiac or Riddler? And I was like, oh, I'll put Brainiac first. I was like, oh, but I gotta put Magneto in here. And it's like, so I guess Riddler will be my honorary number 11. I was super close on Riddler, but I went with Brainiac because I like he's a very powerful villain and he's a very intimidating villain that like even outside of like just personality, just his powers are so cool. He's just and all like I did read some Brainiac comics when I was a kid, and I always thought, especially in like the Superman and Justice League comics, I always thought he was the most intimidating villain from a power perspective.
Right.
For the Justice League, like one of the few times that I was watching or reading a Superman comic, and I was like, this I could see this person killing Superman. Most of the time, if I was reading a Superman comic, I was like, all right, let's just get to the part where Superman fucking wins. You know, he's not gonna fucking die. So I was starting to get annoyed with Superman at the time, but Brainiac was the one that was like, I was like, this person actually poses a threat in my mind.
Yeah.
So that's part. The main reason I went with Brainiac was he was the first villain that I read, at least not necessarily who came out, but that I read that I believed could beat Superman. And I hated Superman, so I was happy about that.
I feel like he did at one point. I don't
He
even
could
remember. I'm
have.
gonna go.
I didn't really keep reading, but like I remember because I didn't have a comic book store I went to very often, but I would just get individual ones, and I was always like, man, this Brainiac dude's so fucking cool. I feel like he's gonna kick Superman's ass. Let's get to it. I was rooting for the villain in that comic. But
All right.
in a similar vein, my guess for your number 9 was Lex Luthor.
Incorrect. Another villain I absolutely hate was Lex Luthor.
I hated him
can't
in
stand
Batman
Lex.
versus Superman, if that counts.
Okay, I like him in some things, but not. I don't like him like in most of the things that he's in. Um, the Gotham TV series.
I have not
I
seen, so I don't know if he's good or bad in that.
he was a like his actor was like pretty good. With the whole Lex Luthor thing. So it made me like Lex Luthor in that, but I still kind of hate him in most things. No. So my number 9 was actually Carnage.
Interesting. Wait. Who was your first one again?
My first one was Mysterio.
Okay, I did not put it on. I just realized I never checked whether I had it listed for you or not. Oh, I should have listed Carnage. I should have. I think I made a very grave mistake on my list that I'm starting to notice, and I think you're gonna win this episode, even though neither one of us have scored yet. I think you have a higher likelihood with the way things are going. But anyway, go ahead.
We'll see. We'll see. Um, the whole alien aspect of like Carnage and how they did him, especially like I like his color theme and like
Oh
the way
yeah,
his like how he looks. It's just
he's
like
very intimidating.
yeah, it's so different from like when Venom was introduced that I just really liked Carnage and like how evil he was. Like he was like
Mhm.
way worse than Venom ever was, and I'm like, okay, okay, I could really like see Carnage taking over the world and actually succeeding. Um, so I like Carnage because Carnage is fucking
Yeah,
dope.
Carnage is fucking awesome. I will not argue with you on Carnage at all. Carnage is absolutely dope, but we may come back to that later. Who knows?
So my number 8 for you was Ultron.
Another person I considered. I did consider him heavily. But no, this is the first one that I'll say I'll explain when I get there. My number 8 is the Winter Soldier. Because
Ooh.
he starts off as a villain but becomes a hero. So
Okay,
it's like
see,
he's not like ambivalent. It's more so like he starts off as like he's literally when he's under the fucking whatever you call it that makes him the
mind
Winter
control.
Soldier. Like yeah,
Yeah.
like him as the villain in that standpoint, especially, and like I didn't read a lot of Captain America, but in like Captain America: The Winter Soldier, the movie, like the idea of him being who he is, it's the movie's almost 10 years old at this point. The fact that he's spoilers, I guess, but the fact that he's Bucky Barnes, like added such like an emotional like grounding to that idea, like he's just Steve is finally starting to get acclimated to the fucking modern day, and he gets freaking whiplashed like that.
Oh
And
man, I know
he's such a badass.
he
Like
is.
even as a hero, he was a strong contender for my list because he's just but as a villain, he's more badass. Like when he freaking turns around and catches Cap's shield with his arm. When I showed Shelby the movies because we binge watched them. Whenever he caught the shields, he was like, "Oh shit!" I was like, just the simple act of him catching Cap's shield like that without like he wasn't even looking. He just turns around and grabs it because he knew it was coming because he knows Steve. Was
Right.
like that simple act was such a badass moment. that one movie along, I mean, like his further development is good too, but that like his role as the villain in that movie was one part that like made me sort of like Captain America's character was because at least had some sort of like personal conflict going on.
Okay, so I hated Winter Soldier the movie, and
Oh, I love
I
that movie.
just I loved everything to do with the Winter Soldier. All right, I loved his part in the film. Like the whole issue I had with it, I was like, for a Captain America movie, it just seemed like it was going too slow for me, character development wise, and I'm like, I need this to hurry up because I'm halfway through the movie and I'm getting really fucking bored. And as somebody with ADHD, I love really fast paced movies because my brain can keep up with them. Um, if it's something that's slower,
Yeah.
I lose interest like not even halfway through.
For me,
So it's just I don't know.
that would also probably explain why you didn't like Persona 5 that much. And I also have ADHD, but not to that same extent. Or not to that same category, I would say. But for me, I like the movie. This is kind of sidetracking, but it's it's a podcast, whatever. um, for the movie, for me, it was very similar to another movie series I liked, which was the Bourne trilogy, the Jason Bourne trilogy, specifically just the trilogy.
I didn't watch it.
That's a really good series. About it's got Matt Damon in it. He's basically I'm not gonna spoil it because I think you should definitely watch it. But in the first movie, The Bourne Identity, he wakes up and a boat has no or wait sorry he's found in the ocean, like just a boat finds him in the ocean, brings him up. He has no idea who he is, but knows that there's something that he's important for some reason to the government, and he doesn't know why or who he is or why they are tracking him down so much. And it's a course of three movies of him figuring everything out, and not necessarily that part of like the amnesia that reminds me of Captain America: Winter Soldier, but there's a lot of when I say political drama, I don't mean like actual real world politics, but like in the world politics, sort of like the stuff with Hydra in the movie. There's a lot of
Yeah.
like him figuring out like what these government corporations are doing, who's corrupt, who's not corrupt, who's the good, who could he trust, who could he not trust. There, it reminded me a lot of that with him like having to go undercover and all that stuff, and and there's a lot of action too, but it's a very good movie series. You should watch it. But we're getting off topic now. Or I'm getting us off topic rather, but I'm not going to put that blame on you. That's entirely me. Um, but anyway, if anyone here hasn't seen that series, check it out. Just the first three though. The original trilogy. There's two spin-off movies that are not good. But they came out way after the fact. Anyway, my guess for your number 8 was wait no, that's my number 8. I was gonna say wait, I didn't think I put the Winter Soldier on your list, and I didn't. But my guess for your number 8 was Brainiac.
No.
I didn't think so because I'm realizing where my mistake came in. But my top. Wait, do I have 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh fuck! I've only got 9 for you. Wait. Let me count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, I've got 10. Oh, I've got 10. Never mind. Never mind. I just skipped
Panic
one.
alert sets
I
in.
straight up. I was like, I swear, because I literally didn't even remove any of the like. I just edited the lines. I didn't remove any of them. I edited the lines from the last one and just changed what they said. I was so confused. Anyway,
Be interested to know, and we'll get to the end once we get to like the
yeah,
end of the list. What mistake that you made?
yeah, and I think it might be pretty obvious as we go through.
I feel like it might be, but we'll see. We'll
But
see.
yeah,
No. So my number 8 was actually Cheetah. I love
oh,
everything about her.
it
She's
makes
just like
sense. Fucking
she's
furry.
no, she's just really cool, and I like how in the newer Wonder Woman movie series, how she actually came to be Cheetah. I think like the way that they morphed her and how she looked versus like the comic books and like the animated movies, how they like really updid her character for the live action version of her.
I have not seen
So
Wonder Woman 84, so if
you
it
should
happens in
totally
there,
watch it.
I heard it was bad.
It was bad and good at the exact same time.
Okay.
It was bad and good at the exact same time.
I say I liked
With
the
that
first one, but I
being,
heard the second one was bad, so I didn't watch it.
it's more towards the bad side, but I think that there's some really, really cool design elements, story elements in it that still makes it kind of worth the watch.
It's bad with some good parts to it, is what I'm hearing, pretty much. Like, there's some
Yes.
parts of it that make it worth watching.
Yeah, so the whole cheetah sequences, for me, that was like one of the best parts. Some of the story elements, though, were kind of stupid. But yeah, no, I absolutely love Cheetah. She's one of my favorite female villains out there.
One of, so I still have a chance on some of these.
Maybe. We'll see. So for your number 7, I put Deadshot.
Incorrect. So we're still at 0-0. Man. My number 7 was Killmonger from Black Panther. This is all
Ooh.
exclusively the movie, because I had no idea who the fuck that was before the movie came out. But he, a lot of it goes to Michael B. Jordan. He's such a good actor.
He really is.
And
Absolutely
he did
him.
that role so well. He's like, on top of like the motivations, like leaving you conflicted as you're watching the movie, like, but the like he's so entertaining. Like, it's like he's got such charisma as that character. Like, he's evil, but like kind of like what he's doing is not right by any means, but he's doing it out of a mind of righteousness at the same time, and he does it with such charisma that like part of me starts to root for him, even though he's trying to just get people killed. Just because he's got such charisma, I'm like, all right, I gotta root for this guy. It'd be like if Dwayne Johnson was a villain in a movie. I can't help but root for him. He's just got the charisma. I can't help myself.
I absolutely loved the Killmonger scene when he was first introduced.
Yeah.
As an adult, when he's like in that museum or whatever, and he goes, "Oh, and what's this piece?" And she's like, "I forget what she tells him," but he was like, "Nah, you see, this is from." I'm like, "Holy shit!" Some shit's about to go down.
He's got like such a swagger to him with the way he talks and everything, and he was so compelling. He was. And not when I say I rooted for him, that's not that I didn't like Chadwick Boseman. He was a great Black Panther too. It's just I like villains, and when a villain has a high amount of charisma, there's always that part of me that wants to see them absolutely beat the shit out of a superhero. Just because of the amount of shit talking they do, I just love it whenever they can actually back it up. And the fact that I'm also kind of a sucker for those villains that are kind of like a perfect parallel to the hero in terms of their power and abilities, which he kind of was, because he literally also became a Black Panther. But it was, and also the thing with the freaking bumps all over his body for like all the kills he did, really fucking cool.
It really was. He had some really cool design aspects to him as well.
Yeah, he's just, it was so cool. That's part of the reason I was like, I still haven't watched it, but I still want to watch Black Panther Wakanda Forever. But part of the reason I was kind of hesitant was because I don't know if any villain in Black Panther could top Killmonger. I feel like they set the bar too high right off the bat.
Potentially, I watched it. Potentially.
But I hear the movie was good. I hear they do a good job with handling Chadwick Boseman. Like handling the situation. I hear they did probably the best that they could given the situation, but I haven't seen it, so I have no right to stand, or no leg to stand on with that exactly. But anyway, yeah, Killmonger is awesome, exclusively because of the movie. I have not seen anything with him outside of it. Anyway, my guess for your number 7 was Two-Face.
Correct.
Wait, you said correct?
Incorrect.
Oh.
You got it wrong.
It cut off the I at the beginning of the word correct. Because it'd be like, whoa, from being 0 to 0, we all of a sudden have a
Have a
freaking
spot
3-pointer. I get a 3-pointer right out of the blue.
No. So going back to the whole Carnage thing.
Hmm.
No, my number 7 is Venom.
Hey, I got a point. I had Venom on here. I got a point.
Venom
Fuck
is
it.
definitely one of my favorites.
Sorry, the sad part. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. I'm just angry because he was 2 spots away. I'm so close to getting 2 points. Anyway, keep going. Keep going.
So Venom. If you're not counting the newer Venom movies, standalone movies, where Carnage was not introduced.
He was in the second movie.
Carnage wasn't. Oh,
It's
well,
literally
Carnage
called
was in
"Let
the
There Be
second-
Carnage."
No. I'm talking about like the original, like the movies that Venom was in by himself without Carnage, where
Oh, and
Carnage
he
was not even introduced yet. It's like
he was
the
in the
original
first one.
Spider-Man's.
Oh yeah, there's Spider-Man 3 and then Venom.
Yeah, so when he was introduced in Spider-Man 3, the whole fact that Venom like took over Spider-Man and Spider-Man was Venom for a short period of time, I thought that was pretty interesting. How it kind of developed and how it completely changed Spider-Man's like views on things. How he like
Gotta
started
start
becoming
doing the
more
dance.
aggressive. Oh yeah, yeah.
Bully Maguire
You
meme
would get that.
spawned. The only good
Yeah.
thing about that entire fucking movie is the Bully Maguire memes. That movie's trash.
Yes. It was trash, but at the same time, I think like the whole introduction of Venom though was like pretty cool, and how like Venom really came to be, and how like it focused more on him being like this alien substance or whatever. It wasn't something that was just like, oh, I'm gonna like electrocute myself, and now I have these electric powers or something. It's like something that came out of space, and it's like I don't think there were too many like superhero movies where you're like fighting aliens at that time, or like aliens were like really heavily introduced, like movie wise. Don't get me wrong, movie wise. Um, so at least my experience, Venom was like the first alien to be in a superhero movie, um, that I remember seeing, and so it's just like pretty cool. Like the whole origins were like completely different from any of the villains I had previously seen. And then I also absolutely love the way that they portrayed him in like his new Venom standalone movies.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
For this, for the standalone movies, I think he definitely is portrayed way better than in Spider-Man 3.
Oh,
The big mistake that the new Venom movies make though is being PG-13 and not
True,
rated
yeah.
R. If they had been rated R, I have no doubt in my mind they would have done Venom perfectly. I think it did as best as he probably could for a PG-13 movie. So I can't really trash it that much, but it should have gone full rated R. That's my big problem. It just didn't go rated R. They could have had a darker, more twisted story.
Totally, yeah, totally.
But given the like, if they're going to make it PG-13, I feel like that's some of the best they probably could have done without it going to be rated R. But anyway,
So my number 6 for you, sticking with the whole Spider-Man theme, was Kingpin.
incorrect. We are at 1-0, by the way. This is the lowest scoring game so far. But no, my number 6 was Thanos. I know you hate Thanos now, but the Raisin Chin himself is. I like how I don't know, he's in a somewhat similar fashion to Brainiac. He's got like a presence to him that makes him feel godlike. Like whenever he walks up, you need an entire fucking army of superheroes to beat him. Granted, it's mostly because of the fucking gauntlet, but the fact that he has the gauntlet, and, like wielding all the stones and all that shit, and the fact that in the superhero movies, he's the first villain to, and I guess you could say sort of Killmonger did, but for a much longer period of time to actually succeed at his goal, in the movies was like, when he, again, spoilers for Infinity War. But if you haven't seen that, you probably shouldn't be watching episode or listening to episodes about superheroes when you haven't seen the biggest superhero movie of all time. But with the snap and him actually accomplishing it, and seeing all the superheroes get wiped away, it made him feel like a true threat because he won. He actually won the battle against an entire fucking army of superheroes, and it made him feel very intimidating. And so like whenever they eventually do beat him, aka whenever Iron Man eventually beats him, um, it made it feel like such a huge deal. Like it was such a bit like typically, I go into a superhero movie, see the villain, I'm like, all right, this person's dead by the end of the movie, dead or in jail, one or the other.
Dead or in jail.
But whenever you saw Thanos die in Endgame, like it felt like a huge deal. I was like, oh my god, they did it, and like I knew it was gonna happen, but like you saw like in the last movie he won. Like it's the first time where like a villain wins to end the movie and comes back and then they challenge him again the next one. They have to win in their fucking rematch. And he had stayed successful for 5 fucking years. Like you got to see like I like in Endgame how they spent some time on a post snap world to show just how bad things had gotten because of it.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
And to me that just made him feel like the biggest villain because he succeeded and actually like made the entire world a worse place. And like he had the Avengers lost. Like it wasn't like one where they they lose, just regroup, come back and fight again. They lost and they stayed lost with half of the heroes, half of the members of the heroes of the MCU being dead. And I don't know, that was just a huge deal to me. That was like, holy shit, this guy means business. Like he just beat an entire fucking army of the best superheroes. Those two movies again. He's one where the movies absolutely made him one of my favorites for that part. If that makes sense.
Makes sense. I do absolutely hate how weak they made him look, though. In the beginning, at least in the beginning of
Endgame.
Endgame,
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god! So you just like kicked everybody's ass,
Like,
and then like the next thing you're like this weak, pathetic piece of shit. I'm like, come on now.
I did think part of it was cool because or not cool, but like part of what I kind of understood from it was he really did only care about the cause. So like he didn't fucking care if he was gonna die at that point. But at the same time, it did make him look a lot weaker than the ending of the first movie made him look. So whenever we saw him again, I was like, I just saw you die earlier.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know because the whole thing with is it Kara? Is that her name? I can't remember. Um, fucking Christ, Captain Marvel is what?
Carol Danvers.
Yeah, Carol Danvers. Okay, sorry. I'm trying to fucking think of like what her name was. When Carol Danvers like was like first introduced in the very beginning of the film and she like comes in and like you had just seen her previous movie and like she comes in and she's like all badass when she fucking comes into this movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you go fight Thanos and it's like this fucking pathetic week. And I'm like, are you kidding me? So you have this fucking badass introduction and then like there's no fucking fight sequence. Well, I mean there's kind of a fight sequence, but it's not really a fight sequence. It's
Yeah,
just
and he uses
basically
the
them
Power
killing
Stone
him.
to knock her out for the rest of the battle.
Yeah, like I'm like, come on now. She's supposed to be like this super powerful being, and like
I like that they did that simply because she was brand new and not that I'm not sitting here to be like I hate on her, but in a weird way, I don't feel she deserved to fight Thanos as a not like as a like in the world she does, but like she just got introduced like 2 months prior, and I didn't really care to see her fight Thanos. I want to see the people that fought him the first time and the people that have been there the whole time, or for at least a long period of time, kill him.
Oh, I mean, I feel
like it should be obvious that because she's easily one of the most powerful members in the entire MCU, like they had to address her fighting him, but they had to resort to him using the Power Stone to do it, which kind of made her look cool still because the fact that he needed an Infinity Stone to beat her, like not even like to use the power of it, he had to literally grab the stone and punch her with it.
Yeah, done better. I mean, I don't care that she was out most of it. I just feel like that initial, like, they build up all this hype for her to battle Thanos, and then, like, they don't really do that much with it because he's, like, in his week, not really up to fighting type stage, I guess. Um, and then they didn't really get to, like, show off or anything until, like, the very, very end of the movie, and I'm like, well,
Yeah,
you introduced her in the very beginning of the film as this badass, and then that's where y'all go with it, and I'm like, I don't know. I
yeah,
don't
and I
know. It
kind of
just made
wanted
me
her
hate
to be
him.
gone. I didn't want her in the movie that much, just because I know she's gonna get her own other movies and stuff. She'll be there in the future. To me, I was just like, she'll have her own moment. Like, let the heroes that have been here a while do it. She could be like the main one to kill the next big bad. She could fight Galactus or something.
Yeah,
But
I get it. I get it.
for what is that, number 6? So for your number
Yes.
6, I had the Riddler.
Incorrect. The Riddler was such a close contender with who I chose. Um, but there were things about the Riddler that I absolutely didn't like, and then there were things that I did which made me not put him here. So, number 6 was actually Catwoman.
I earned a point.
Catwoman is just one of the best characters that I don't know, just everything about her. I loved her, like, standalone movie, with Halle
I
Berry.
say we'll debate or we'll agree to disagree on that one.
Shut up.
I hate that
Um,
movie.
so I loved her standalone movie, but I think the thing that really, like, made me love her so much more, was Gotham's TV series for her, and you got to see Selena Kyle as a child, like growing up, like her whole backstory. So it's not just like, oh, she became, Catwoman because she, like, she died and a cat breathed on her. No, there was like there was a whole thing. There was a whole thing, and like she was already like mostly Catwoman when that series started. She was like this girl living out on the streets using her burglary skills to stay alive. So everything about her was like already Catwoman. She just kind of needed that push to like fully on become Catwoman, and she did in that series get that little bit of push. And I thought it was just like a really interesting way to break her character down even more and actually show where she came from and how she came to be. So Catwoman is definitely my favorite, especially the Gotham version of Catwoman. Um, so yeah, she's my number 6.
I won't disagree. Catwoman is a great villain. I just don't like her standalone movie, though. I certainly did enjoy Anne Hathaway's Catwoman, just not really for the story.
Anne
Um,
Hathaway, you mean Halle Berry?
no, Anne Hathaway in The Dark Knight
Wait, Anne.
Rises.
Oh, I forgot that she even. I honestly
Yeah.
forgot that she even played her. To be honest.
No, at the
Um,
time I had a major crush on Anne Hathaway, so her showing up in a spandex suit was I was more than happy to see.
of
Um,
course.
yeah.
Um. So stepping away from Catwoman, my number 5 for you was the Joker.
No, incorrect. Um, here's where I will go through one of my allowed 3 Spider-Man villains. My number 5. This is a bit of a left fielder. Most people know who it is, but like he hasn't really had a major movie role or anything yet. Scorpion.
Ooh,
I like
okay.
Scorpion because one, I like the fucking idea of Scorpion. Him being in that suit with the fucking scorpion tail, and he can like shoot stuff out of it in some versions of him. And he's got like the blades on it. It's just cool. Two, um, there's sort of a story for it. The first way I was introduced to anything Spider-Man was not a movie, was not a comic book. It was the game Spider-Man on the PlayStation 1. Not the movie game on the PS2, but PlayStation 1 was called Spider-Man. I believe it was also on the N64. But the very first supervillain you fight in that game is Scorpion. So he was like the first one I really got truly introduced to. And it was It was a cool fight. It was the first and it's a lot easier now as an adult than if I go back and play that game. But as a kid, I sometimes had problems with it. But he was just cool, and I enjoyed him in other games. I mostly enjoy him from his time in Spider-Man video games. He hasn't really done anything in the movies, but the comics are also pretty cool, and I just like his whole shtick. It was hard for me to pick a Spider-Man villain to put in the number 5 spot. I stuck with Scorpion because I think he's got a really unique power, and I think, or not even power, it's technically just a suit he's stuck in. But it was fun. Because also in that exact scene, the same time he's not a super villain, but I'm gonna give him an honorary mention. J. Jonah Jameson. He's attacking J. Jonah Jameson, and you have to rescue JJ from Scorpion. And it was a fun fight. I really enjoyed it. I don't know how it is now, but at least as a kid, it felt like a really fun fight. You had to race there before he killed JJ, and it was a really fun fight. I loved that game. That was one of my favorite games on the PlayStation 1. And that was my introduction to Scorpion. I just thought he was really cool. Pretty simple.
Man, Scorpion, I've seen a little bit of him. I don't remember the PlayStation 1 video game as much. I know I remember playing it. I don't really remember too much of it.
Random other fact about that game. I mostly played it on the PlayStation 2 because we got rid of my PS1 and we got a PS2, but my parents got rid of the memory cards as well. While the PS2 can play PS1 games, you need a PS1 memory card to save your game. So I had to restart the game every single time I played it.
Sucks.
So I fought Scorpion many, many times. Excuse me.
Jesus. I would hate that. Just knowing, from my experience, I've had to restart one video game. I legit, many months ago, did a live stream where I was playing, what is it? Phoenix Immortal Rising?
Immortals Phoenix Rising.
Yeah, Immortals Phoenix Rising. Shut up. I was close, okay? Got 2.5 hours into the main story. The save file's corrupted, and I had to restart all over again. Same thing happened the second time. Took 3 tries, 2.5 hours each time, just to get to where I needed to get. Oh my god.
I can definitely. I played that game so many times. That's probably the game I've beaten the most amount of times in my life because I had to beat it. Just because the fact that I had to start over every time. I got so good at beating it in a single sitting that I could beat it within an hour or two, or a couple of hours. I don't know the exact amount of time, but my parents were strict with the allotted time I was able to spend playing video games, and I could beat it in the allotted time each evening by the time I was in my teens. And it was my go-to PS1 game for a long time. Because at the time it was the best Spider-Man game I had, even though I had the movie game for until I got Spider-Man 2 on the Xbox. That was the favorite Spider-Man game until Spider-Man 2018 came out. Anyway, that's a whole nother shtick for another day. But my guess for your number 5 was Venom, which I already got my point for.
So you already know that is incorrect.
Yeah.
No, my number 5 is actually Scarecrow.
Oh, I should have thought of that one.
I absolutely love Scarecrow because if you know me, and Jesse, I swear to God, you should know me at this point.
I'm not entirely sure I do. Your name was Kevin, right?
Shut the fuck up. I absolutely love horror movies. Anything horror movie related, I absolutely love. They don't scare the shit out of me. Video games do, however. But the whole fact that Scarecrow uses your deepest fears to basically manipulate you and cause
cool.
all this chaos is just so freaking awesome. I also love each version of him. His look changes completely. So from the original Scarecrow that you see in the video games to when he's first introduced into some TV shows.
I like the Batman Begins Scarecrow. I think that one is so intimidating.
Yes. That one was my absolute favorite. you got introduced to him as well in Gotham and how he started basically with his fear toxins. So it was just really cool to see where he went, how he developed each stage, and then like how he's like even his fear toxin changed.
Mhm.
Through each thing that he was in, his fear toxin would get stronger and stronger. So I thought, Scarecrow's one of my favorites. I love his looks. Everything about his
Yeah.
looks is just really cool.
I should have gotten that one. He's probably one of my favorite Batman villains, if that means anything.
Ooh, yes. So going to number 4, I actually put Venom for you.
Incorrect. My number 4, this is the second and the only other one I would say really counts for the one where I'll say is kind of a villain hero depending on the time you're placing in. My number 4 is Loki.
Ooh,
Um,
okay.
Again, it's because and I say he spends more time probably as a villain than as a hero, and
Yeah.
so I'd say he counts. But I like his story and the fact that every single time he shows up, he's gonna stab somebody in the back. Every time
Oh,
he goes hero, he's gonna
100%.
stab somebody in the back. But like he does enough to for a split second make you believe maybe, just maybe, he is gonna be good for once, and then he stabs somebody in the back.
Oh,
Um,
100%.
I liked him in the comics. I liked him in I like him in the movies. I think Tom Hiddleston is great as Loki. I think he's really entertaining. Him and Chris Hemsworth have some great chemistry, especially he's not a villain at this point, but the freaking get help scene in Thor Ragnarok.
Oh my god, I loved that. It was like, we're not doing it.
We're doing it. And his reaction and fucking also in Thor Ragnarok whenever the Hulk beats the shit out of Thor, and he's like, "That's how it feels." um,
It's absolutely amazing.
every time Loki is on screen in that whole franchise, I'm always like, all right, some good shit's about to happen. Even in like bad movies like Thor: The Dark World, right? Thor: Dark World's more just boring than anything, but like when
Yeah.
Loki's on screen, I can at least be like, all right, we're gonna get some good shit from this guy, and he's really funny. I like his whole shtick of constantly like quote turning good, but then stabbing somebody in the back and becoming a
Loki is
villain.
wonderful. A very good
Uh,
character.
yeah, so I like his character a lot more so than his powers. Um, my number 4 for you was Reverse Flash.
Incorrect. Reverse Flash was almost there, but not quite. Didn't make
I
it.
literally just had him because you had Flash on your top 10 superheroes list, and
That's great.
It was me,
No,
Barry.
actually, my number 4 was actually Doc Ock. Absolutely love Doc Ock.
He was
Always
a
have.
strong contender for me, but I had to limit my Spider-Man villains.
I absolutely love the fact that he's like the scientist or whatever, and he was like so close to Spider-Man, and then just like the chip made him go evil.
Yeah.
So I absolutely love that, and then I also loved how Into the Spider-Verse they
Oh
made
yeah,
Doc Ock a female, and it was really interesting to see,
that was a great
how
movie.
how they changed her to still be like this Doc Ock character, but like the
There's
whole
3
reason
actually.
behind it was completely different. I was like, you know what? That's a solid twist. Did not
Yeah,
expect her. I was not expecting her to be Doc Ock at all, and the fact that she was, I was like, okay, you know what? I absolutely love this version so much more than the regular.
I like that. He's also Doc Ock. It's another great thing about him is he is in one of the best Spider-Man movies, Spider-Man 2. Which was my favorite Spider-Man movie for a long time. And he was a great villain in that movie. I think Doc Ock was good. He was also in that Spider-Man game. He was toward the very end. We will get to that in just a second as to what was cool about that part. But what was your guess for number 3 for me?
For number 3, I actually did put Doc Ock for you.
Okay, I did not have Doc Ock, but it's weird because this is where I was going to continue the Doc Ock conversation. My number 3 was Carnage. Did you ever mention Carnage for me? Was he on?
I did not
Okay.
actually.
I knew you had said Venom, but I couldn't remember if you said Carnage. Have you? I also got that there. Have you earned any points off of anything I've said that you like mentioned earlier or something? Like I've been forgetting whatever you say for me. I didn't think you did yet, but
Did.
wait, you did?
I did, but I can't say what for just yet.
Oh, so it's something that hasn't come up yet. Okay, or something from your guesses. All right. Can you tell me how many points you have, just so that way I can?
Just the one.
Just one, just so I can update the scoreboard. But my number 3 was Carnage. For literally the same reasons you had. But also going back to that Spider-Man game, Carnage is also in the game, and he's working with Doc Ock. They're sort of the main villains of the whole game. This is kind of a spoiler for the plot, I guess, but at the very end, Carnage takes over Doc Ock and becomes what the game calls Monster Ock, where it's literally Carnage with the Doc Ock tentacles, and he fucking is chasing you out of an exploding laboratory. I've never been so fucking horrified by a PS1 game in my life. Little 5-year-old me is like, oh god, this fucking monster's gonna try to kill me. And literally you can't you can't fight him, you have to run away. And it is kind of the only part that was kind of lame was he ends up just dying in the lab explosion. But for the time you saw him, though, the fact that it's the only boss in the game where you have no choice but to run, that made Carnage so fucking intimidating. And once I got into the comics and stuff, Carnage was always thought was really cool. He's the second of my 3 Spider-Man villains, by the way. But Carnage was really cool, and he was he was so badass. And every time I see him, I'm like, or like in anything, I'm like, oh god, someone's about to get fucking shredded to pieces or eaten in very gruesome ways, and that's awesome. Especially with the whole thing with red symbiotes being a thing. They slightly hint at it in Venom Let There Be Carnage. But I'm not going to get into it, but red symbiotes are like a specific thing, and that's part of what makes Carnage so intimidating if you're in the comics.
Carnage is like... Carnage is amazing. There's like so much that you could just honestly say about Carnage.
Yeah.
But we'll go ahead and move on from Carnage.
Yeah. My number 3 for you was the Joker.
Incorrect.
Damn.
So I'm honestly surprised. I would be surprised if you don't have this on your list somewhere.
I'm gonna guess I don't, because I literally only have one left. Unless I happen to be right on this exact one, but I doubt it.
Wait, you have one left.
Because one of the ones, one of the two left you already said earlier.
Right. Okay. So yeah. So the fact if you don't have this on there for me, the Penguin. I have talked about Oswald Cobblepot before.
I do not have that one. I considered it, but I didn't.
So no, Oswald Cobblepot, best absolute person, in my opinion, as a villain, especially in, like I said, Gotham.
I haven't seen Gotham, so I can't say.
I think we talked about this in the last episode. I'm not 100% sure. But the whole fact that like his existence was completely 180 changed from the original movies that he was in. Instead of having a deformity, he was actually crippled by his fellow mafia members. And then like kind of became this like big mafia member that had this limp. It was just really cool to me. And then like, come on now, the original Danny DeVito Penguin.
Friggin' fucking Batman Returns.
Yes, it was just
he
did it so justice. It was such a good movie, and absolutely just I can go forever about
It's an
all 12
underappreciated movie.
It is definitely an underappreciated
Like
movie.
I like the original Batman, but like I think too many people think that that's the only good one out of those 4 movies from, I guess, the quote original series. But I would argue Batman Returns is also in that good conversation. For
Yeah.
Batman Forever and Batman and Robin can go burn in hell though.
Right. Before we move on, I want to take a small break here because I need to run to the bathroom.
All right. This episode is brought to you by Circle. Circle is a water bottle company where you can insert flavor cartridges, Circle branded flavor cartridges, into the bottle, and it flavors the water as you drink it. All the flavors are sugar-free, 0 calories, natural flavors, no artificial colors, and are incredibly affordable. And they can save you a ton of money, and it's also way more environmentally friendly. And you can use this to try to help drink a lot more water, keep yourself hydrated. And best part is, if you don't like the flavor and you want to swap out flavors, you could just swap out the cartridge. It doesn't flavor the water until it passes through the lid to enter your mouth. So you could swap cartridges at any time and change flavors without it messing with the water at all. Circle is a very good. They have tons of different types of flavors. They have iced coffee flavors. They've got, so if you like coffee, they have caffeinated iced coffee flavors you can put in. They've got fruit flavors. They've got ones with a lot of electrolytes. So if you're a very big Propel drinker, like I was, you could get those and get the electrolytes while still having 0 sugar, much like Propel, but having a lot more flavors at your disposal. And I've got some that are even energy drinks, but still with no sugar, but they've got the caffeine and the B vitamins and everything to give you energy. That's basically like an energy drink, but not as unhealthy. And so you can start staying way better hydrated and be healthier with Circle. If you are listening to this podcast on YouTube, there will be a link in the description, a referral link to where you can get a starting bottle of Circle and 2 flavors for $8. Oh, welcome back. I was plugging my Circle referral real quick.
Okay. Holy shit! Hold on. I got before we continue on.
Yes.
Let me just restart this.
Start what?
At my recording, but legit, I just muted my mic, so I had my headphones in that entire fucking time.
So you were listening to me freaking talk about Circle.
Like, got to my door, got to my bedroom door, was about to turn to the corner to go to the bathroom. And you started up with that. I legit started laughing so hard I was peeing my pants, okay? I'm just like, oh my god, Jesse, you're such a fucking idiot.
Hey, referrals work for me and the consumer, all right? Like I get free flavors for people that use the referral link. People can straight up get that bottle that it was like a 22 ounce, I think a 22 ounce bottle and 2 flavors for $8.
I think it was 3 flavors.
Well, the one you get for $8, you can get $5 off of a starting order, or you can get a bottle with 2 flavors for $8.
Oh, okay.
Which the bottle itself is typically $20, so you're already getting 60% off the bottle plus 2 free flavors.
Look, I'm just saying.
So,
just saying. I almost peed myself because I started plugging that in, and I was laughing so hard. I was like, "God damn it, Jesse!" I almost whipped my headphones out and threw them across the room because
this is not technically sponsored, but I'm just gonna plug Circle a lot because one, I love it. I straight up love Circle. I've got the biggest fucking bottle they have. I showed Whitney a picture earlier today. This thing is fucking massive. And it's made of stainless steel, and I've got right now probably got around 13 different flavors. The bottles last a while. Like the cartridges on a standard size bottle, the 22 ounce one, it'll probably last you at least 6 bottles of water, and the cartridges are only a few bucks a piece. So like you can save a lot of money versus buying like sodas or things like that. So if you're trying to quit soda, I think Circle is also a great thing to do. But if you also need caffeine, they have caffeinated ones. But I think it's enough for the sponsorship, not sponsorship.
Okay,
So
well,
definitely
no.
if you're listening.
So before we end that,
What?
I do want to say,
Oh,
if
it's
you want to see Jesse's reaction to opening up his circle for the first time, he did make an unboxing video on his
yeah.
YouTube channel.
That's AquaLeaderJesse on YouTube for people listening elsewhere other than YouTube.
Yes. It was absolutely hilarious. He actually tried one of the flavors on the strongest point, and that
The
had
fruit punch, yeah.
yes, it had me rolling.
You
I was
can
like, oh my god. As soon
also
as he said, let's try it on 10, I was like, oh my god,
you
you're an idiot.
you can adjust the strength of the flavor too. So like if you only like to have a hint of flavor, you can just turn it down to a 1 instead of 9, like a 1 to a 3. That tends to be where I keep mine at most of the time, because one, it lasts longer, and like to where I lasted almost a week of drinking it exclusively for my grape one. But for someone like my wife who just likes it, who likes a stronger flavor, she turns the fruit punch one up to like halfway. But if you do it all the way up, it's just gonna taste like straight juice. Like you probably won't even know you're drinking water.
Just it was a great thing. All right, so moving on from
That is
circle.
Circle, CIRKUL. Link it in the description of this YouTube video, but you can go to circle.com or drinkcircle.com. Tell them I sent you. Or check out or just go to my freaking YouTube channel. You can find the link on the podcast video there. That'll probably be the easiest way to get because you won't get the $8 bundle that way if you just go to the website. If you go to the video, click the link in the description, you can get the $8 bundle. It's awesome.
All right, so we left off
At my number 3, right? Or no, your number 3 was Penguin.
Yes. So your number 2, I put Dark Side.
No, that is incorrect. My number 2, I put the Joker. Didn't you guess him for me earlier?
I did guess him for you
So
earlier.
that makes it 2-2. I think you're gonna win this one because I only have one more shot to earn points, and I'm feeling very not confident about them being on the list. Because, and actually not for the mistake that I made for the general list, but based off of how things, based off of what another answer was, which we'll get to when it comes around. But yeah, my number 2 was the Joker. I know it's kind of generic, but he's my favorite Batman villain. He's like the supervillain. I feel like probably if you think of supervillains, you think of the Joker. That's not reason for him to be favorite, just because he's Superman wasn't in my top 10 favorite superheroes, and he's the de facto superhero. Although that might be Batman now, but anyway, the Joker finds a way to be like consistently one of the best portrayed characters in all sorts of ways. Not that he's never been messed up, but Suicide Squad.
Shut up! I actually like his version.
Jared Leto's Joker can go fucking burn in hell. I hate that Joker so much. But Heath Ledger Joker, Jack Nicholson Joker, you got Joaquin Phoenix Joker, you got Mark Hamill Joker. All outstanding. He's great in the comics. I love him in the animated series. Or freaking Batman Beyond Return of the Joker, the animated movie. Loved that movie as a kid. I haven't seen it since I was a kid, so I don't know if it's still good, but I loved it as a kid. But I don't think we really have to describe why the Joker is your favorite. Like, I think Joker is pretty obvious for people that like it. Like, his character, he has no superpowers, and in the base Joker, at least, has no superpowers. He's just a fucking lunatic.
That's true.
With varying backstories, and whatnot. But like, all in all, excuse me, he's a lunatic that is shockingly and frighteningly capable. But yeah, Joker is, I think, it's a pretty self-explanatory one.
Okay, I just gotta say, like, the Joker movie
was
and
amazing.
the fact that they kind of explained, I don't think he wasn't abused in that one. Like, he didn't have like the scar or whatever. Like, he didn't have any scars or anything. Like how they did it for the Dark Knight for Heath Ledger's.
Mm-hmm.
So what they did instead was that they gave him a disease which caused him to have uncontrollable laughter, especially in stressful situations.
Hmm.
And honestly, I think the fact that they did that made him honestly better than Heath Ledger's Joker, in my opinion.
I know there's a big argument for that. I do prefer Heath Ledger's Joker, but not by a lot. I part of me likes not having the backstory, or specifically with Heath Ledger's having conflicting backstories, to where you don't know what exactly happened, because like sometimes it's like, oh, he had an abusive father, other parts it's like, oh, he was a war veteran, or in other parts was, yeah, he had like conflicting backstories, which I think was cool, and the fact that you don't really know for sure what made this man such a fucking lunatic makes him more intimidating to me. But the Joaquin Phoenix joke, it's like comparing freaking, uh, I can't think of a good comparison, but like, it's like they're two masterpieces of the Joker portrayal. It's just one's like a 99% and the other one's 100. Like it's very close. Also, I just liked the feud with Batman in general in
Yeah,
that movie.
yeah.
But the Joaquin Phoenix Joker was also absolutely phenomenal.
All right. Getting away from the Joker, the one and only fabulous Joker. What was your next guess?
My last opportunity to earn a point. I'm pretty sure I'm not gonna. My guess for your number 2 was Black Cat.
It is not. It is not. So my number 2 was actually Mystique.
Oh, I should have
Mystique
thought of that. Mystique is great.
is one of the coolest like villains ever. Especially with the way that like her powers kind of like are shown. The fact that she
Mhm.
can like shift literally into anybody at any given time, you never know if she's in the room with you. Um, so I absolutely love the fact that Mystique was so mysterious, especially like in the original X-Men series, before they introduced her younger self.
Yeah.
She was like so mysterious, and you knew nothing about her. She was just basically this person who was like super evil and was like always by Magneto's side, and was like just constantly turning into other people. And you didn't honestly you knew what she looked like, but you never knew that she struggled with showing who she really was until like those later movies came out. Um,
Yeah. Oh, I will
just
definitely not argue with
absolutely,
you on Mystique. She's cool.
just absolutely love Mystique. I love the way that they portrayed her looks, everything about it. Um, but yes, Mystique was number 2 for me.
Yeah.
So moving on from Mystique, because we're actually probably going to get a little bit more into this. Um, so my number 1 for you was actually Magneto.
Oh, so you earned a point off of that. Wait, no, was that the point you gave me earlier?
That was the point I got from earlier because you had
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and leave that point on there because my number 1 was Venom. Venom has ever since I was a kid. Again, dating back to that Spider-Man game. It was the first time you got to see Venom looked fucking horrifying. You saw him before you saw Carnage. Um, you actually see Venom at the start of the game. You see at the start. Actually, Doc Ock is giving a presentation um, on some scientific stuff, and Peter is in attendance, and so is Eddie Brock. And um, I forget. I'm trying to remember exactly what happens, but basically, some chaos breaks out, and Eddie Brock gets like Eddie Brock and Peter like bump shoulders at some point. He's like, "That was Eddie Brock," and you see I think you see like the venom come down from the ceiling, and then all of a sudden you see like the monster Venom, like you see Venom like with the freaking tendrils all coming off of him, and he's making the like sound with like the freaking razor sharp teeth. That's my introduction to him, by the way. I had never even seen like a scary idea or super villain at the point in time. I'm just a child. I'm like 4. This is like one of my first video games. And I'm like, what the? I mean, I didn't say this because I didn't know what this word was, but I was basically essentially saying, what the fuck is that? So I was seeing it, and I was like, this is horrifying. But then, like, as you go through the game, you start to have your rivalry with him. You start to see like his sense of humor, his fucking like twisted sense of humor come through. Like you see parts where he like picks up Spider-Man, he starts fucking like licking his face and everything. And I was just, and it was so intimidating and so like sinister to me that he's been my favorite from that moment. I was like, I've never been more like intimidated or scared of a villain than I am right now. And future Spider-Man games and Spider-Man comics, he got me in, like that was the villain that got me into comics. I I Venom has always been super cool, basically everything. And let me tell you, when I freaking saw the Spider-Man 3 poster with black suit Spider-Man on it, like again coming from the comics, I knew that fucking means Venom. I was so fucking excited. I was so fucking disappointed. When the movie came out, they fucking butchered Venom and made him into a joke. But like the introduction of him was cool. I didn't like how anything after that.
Yeah.
And I was so upset. And then when they announced they were making a new Venom movie, and it was originally going to be rated R, I believe. That was the original theory, at least. It was going to be a rated R one because Deadpool had come out by this point, and it was doing really well. And it showed, rated R superhero movies can make it. Like, it's not going to block out a ton of audiences. You can still make hundreds of millions of dollars. So they got to do it with Venom, and I was like, "That's awesome! A rated R Venom movie, awesome." But then they censored it to PG-13, so it wasn't as good. But it was definitely better than Spider-Man 3. I'll tell you that much. Um, the only problem was you didn't see Venom that much in the movie. Like you mostly saw him as like coming off of Eddie Brock's body. But in the second one, they did that a little better, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
The action in the second one was really good. Um, Especially because like they did a good job of like pushing PG-13 to its limit in terms of the action, and so I was happy for that. I played Spider-Man: Web of Shadows, I believe it was, a game where you also get to play as Venom. Um, and yeah, Venom has been my favorite the entire time, and like I loved him in the cartoons, I loved him in the comic books, loved him in Spider-Man video games. Um, and Venom has always been he's just always been my favorite. I could go on for hours about Venom. He's a little Carnage, but I met Venom first, and Venom has just a little more personality.
Yeah.
Whereas it kind of makes Carnage more sinister. The fact that he has no personality, he's literally just living, breathing Carnage, just the actual Carnage, killing people and all that. But Venom, I tend to lean towards more of as a character because of the fact that he has personality.
Understandable.
But
I actually do love Venom a lot. That's why I kind of like Venom a little bit more because he does have such personality.
But anyway, before I keep going on about how much I love Venom, my number one for you. Also, can't wait for Spider-Man 2. By the way, Spider-Man 2, the video game, it's gonna have Venom in it. It's gonna be great. But my number one for you was Catwoman, which I already earned my point for. So I'm just gonna have to hope that your number one is something I've already said.
My number one was Loki.
Damn it! I had that for me, but I didn't have it for you. Damn it!
My number one is Loki. Mainly for all the reasons you said, but also because I 100%
Have a crush on Tom
absolutely
Hiddleston.
no. I absolutely love mythology, and Norse mythology specifically is one of my all-time favorite things, and Loki is just like one of my favorite Norse gods in mythology. Could legit go on about like, Sleipnir and everything to do with Loki, but the fact that Tom Hiddleston does play Loki and how they portrayed him as Loki, legit, when I read Norse mythology and I like, I'm trying to imagine what, Loki would look like, legit,
The sake of Tom Hiddleston.
Tom Hiddleston's Loki is like pretty spot on to how I would imagine Loki to act and how he would look and everything. So the fact that like Tom Hiddleston even played him was just really cool, and it made me love Loki so much more because just everything about him was like so spot on, especially towards Norse mythology. But yes, Loki, 100% will always love him more than any villain out there.
He was my number 4. I'm not going to argue with you.
he's just great.
Was that the one that you said that I was going to have a problem with or something earlier?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
My thing for what I said, why I thought Black Cat wouldn't be there because of a certain entry. The whole reason Black Cat is on here, and Catwoman is number 1, because when we were having our talk about what does and doesn't count as a superhero, I couldn't remember whether you said Catwoman or Black Cat. So I put them as the top 2. That's like when you were asking, so I was like, that person's got to be on her list somewhere, but I don't remember which one it was, so I put them both. And my mistake that I realized, because I noticed early on when I realized it was a mistake, was when you said you were going to try to make sure you don't put everything from one universe and make sure to include the other. Yeah. Almost every single one of my guesses for you was a DC villain.
No, I'm actually, honestly, the funny thing is, I'm actually more towards Marvel than I am DC. But when you compared like villains, though, I do tend to have a little bit more DC villains.
Well, just not the ones I picked.
Yeah, just not the ones you picked.
That said, literally none of the DC villains I picked were on your list. Wait, did you not say Joker at any point?
No, Joker's not on the list. He was
why
so
the fuck
close.
Not?
He was so close. If we had a top 11, he would be on there, and I would have to honestly rearrange the whole list because I don't know where I would put him. But no, Joker was not on the list because I had to think of like really good reasons why I put all of these characters on there. And it was just really hard to like find a spot for Joker. At least with the reasons that I give for like the other characters. Joker is definitely amazing by all means, but I mean, like comparing him to everybody else, it's just really hard to put him on the list.
Understandable. Well, that means another Whitney W. So do you have an idea for what you want to do next week?
I do not. That's a tough question.
Try to think of something just totally random. Something that has nothing to do with comics. Let's do something completely different. And you can do comics if you want, but I feel like you're probably going to want to go to something else.
Oh, you know what would be interesting? And I'm kind of curious. I feel like we should do a top 10 of like childhood TV shows that we used to watch, like on PBS and all those like little channels.
Are we wanting to narrow it down at all to like live action or cartoon?
I would say cartoons. So Saturday morning cartoons.
Okay, that one that was literally the one I was hoping you would pick. Yeah, I literally had that in my mind because I've got that. I've got like my top 5 locked and loaded on that one. I have very strong opinions, especially for my number 1. I have arguments. Shelby hates my number 1 pick. I absolutely love it to this day. I cannot wait for that episode. That one's gonna be a good one. I got some very strong opinions. Oh, right. That's gonna be a good episode.
Saturday morning cartoons. Yeah. And honestly, if this goes right, I propose that we should do a part 2. Depending, we should do a part 2 where we watch each other's top 10 Saturday morning cartoons and like see exactly.
And I feel like, considering we're pretty close in age, I feel like I've probably already seen most of yours.
Maybe. We'll see.
And there'll probably be some that we probably haven't seen. I feel like most of them will probably at least have a similar thing.
Yeah,
also, if it's an overall franchise, we don't have to narrow it down, right? Like, say, like, Scooby-Doo. Like, I don't have to say which Scooby-Doo, right? I can just say Scooby-Doo.
No, 'cause when we explain, we're pretty much gonna like say, "Hey,
Yeah.
I like this one versus this
I
one."
figured it'd be better to keep it broad.
Yeah,
I don't
I
think
mean,
there'll be a ton of it. Also, anime does not count. I really should
yeah,
throw
no
that out there.
anime.
So
Yeah,
Pokemon is not
anime.
going to be on my list.
Yeah, no. So I'm not including anything anime because I used to get up like 2 in the morning to watch
Toonami.
fuck, what is it? Oh, yeah, but no, at the same time. What's the name of the show? Oh my
Oh,
god.
I think I know what.
It
Is
was on
it?
Adult Swim. It was on
Yeah,
Adult Swim.
I know what you're talking about. I don't remember the name of it.
It was like the little kid detective where he was like an adult and then
Yeah,
like
yeah,
got
yeah,
turned
yeah,
into
yeah,
a
yeah,
kid.
yeah. Yeah. Shit. I know that. I know exactly what you're talking about. I don't remember the name. I didn't even watch it, but I know of it. But yeah, so if we included anime, this would be a lot harder. But
Yeah.
my number
So
one
just your
probably wouldn't
standard
change.
cartoons,
But
yeah.
yeah, just cartoons. If they aired on Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, whatever the other cartoon channels were, Disney, Toon Disney, etc., Boomerang, uh,
Oh my god.
PBS Kids.
I haven't heard boomerang. Just like the
Dude,
word boomerang and so
so
fucking long.
Boomerang, the channel, plays like old cartoons and whatnot, supposed to be cartoons that aren't on the air anymore. I feel so
Yeah.
fucking old because when you were up in Illinois visiting family a couple years ago, and there were some little cousins, they turned on Boomerang, and there were cartoons that started after I stopped watching cartoons. I can't even remember what they were. But there were cartoons that were like past my time. I felt so fucking old.
If we're including boomerang, I wonder how easily we're actually going to guess each other's top tens.
I feel like I've definitely told you my number one before because I speak very openly about it, but I don't know if I've said it enough to where you'll remember it or recently enough.
I don't
But
think
like
so.
but like if you don't, but if you ask Shelby, she'll tell you in an instant. I have a very strong opinion on what the greatest cartoon of all time is.
Yeah, just message Shelby on
Yeah.
Facebook and be like, "Hey." I don't know if you remember me. Well, actually, hopefully she remembers me. She wishes me a happy birthday. But like, we're just like, "Hey, can you can you sneak into Jesse's office and tell me what his top 10 list is? Thanks."
Well,
Oh my god.
I keep it on my phone, so it's not sneaking into my office isn't gonna do anything.
Steal his phone. Could you imagine if I employed her to like go and sneak and get your phone and send me your top 10
she
and I get every single one of them
she
right and you're like, what the fuck?
she could give you the top, definitely the top two for sure. Of mine, she knows my favorite and second favorite cartoons of all time. Well, number one, absolutely. Like we argue over it all the time because again, she hates it. But I could tell you her favorite cartoon of all time easily. I don't know about second and third and fourth, but number one is without a doubt Rugrats.
Right. Oh yeah,
She
obviously
literally
she got a
she has a
tattoo.
tattoo of it. We've got so much Rugrats stuff around the house. She loves Rugrats with a passion. There are other cartoons I could tell you she likes. I just don't know which one would be like number two specifically. Um, but I have a very firm number one, and I cannot wait to just go off on the masterpiece that is this cartoon. And
Well,
it'd be great if it's also if it's on your list anywhere. It should be number one, but if it's not, as long as it's on the list, I'll be okay with it.
we'll
Oof.
see. We'll see. All right.
Anyway, this episode's gone on long enough. So
Yes.
thank you guys for listening. We'll catch you guys next week with top 10 cartoons. Oh, my freaking bottle just hit the fucking eject button on my Xbox.
It was like, what's that noise?
I was hearing just a scraping sound. I didn't know what it was, and it was literally the disc coming out of the Xbox. Anyway,
Okay, well,
thank you guys for listening. Make sure to subscribe, rate any positive rating or feedback, or feedback in general, but like any sort of support you can give us would be great. We're not exactly major in any way, so we would love any support you can give us. AquaLeaderJesse on YouTube, Fairy Fox Gaming on YouTube and Twitch. For her,
yes.
make sure to check out and subscribe /follow in those places. And yeah, podcast out. Bye.
Bye bye.